Basically, we want to finish the chapter on occupational health. What are the types of occupational hazards? What are the diseases that are caused by those occupational hazards? Mainly those pneumoconiosis, lead poisoning, cancers, dermatitis, etc. Right? Today we will start with basically the science and the management of the occupational diseases. Now, how to manage these diseases? Because it's a little bit different than managing regular diseases in a community or in an OPD. We have to know what the term ergonomics mean. Now, what is ergonomics? It is fitting the task to the human. The conventional or the traditional way is the human has to get in the job and have to adapt and have to modify their whole life around that job. But ergonomics is a reverse thing. It is like you are making the job that is adaptable to the human who wants to do that job. So fitting the task to the human. It is derived from the word ergo and nomos. Ergo means work, nomos means natural law. So how naturally we can do the job, and that science behind it is called ergonomics. So it is a scientific discipline understanding the interactions between human and systems element. Means how the system, how the work environment of the system is interacting with the human, and how can we make it more easier for the human to adapt. That is the ergonomics, the science behind the ergonomics. What is the goal? Adapt the job to the worker, not the worker to the job. That should be the goal. Obviously, last bench do not talk anymore because some people in the front are also not able to hear. Okay. So the goal is to adapt the job to the worker. And now yes, when you go to a job, obviously you have to adapt a little bit. But the hazards that are caused by it, right? So many types of pneumonia or injuries or accidents, okay, that can happen during a job. So how to make them best adaptable to the human nature, that will be the goal. An outcome is simultaneous enhancement of health, safety, comfort and productivity. Not only the safety and health of the human, but the productivity of that whole workforce of that whole industry should increase, so that it benefits everyone. It's a win-win situation. So that is the science behind ergonomics. Now, why is ergonomics good for business also? Why, that is why should the industries adopt going about the ergonomical approach and not the traditional approach? Because for the cost of failure is too high. Okay, there are lost working days, sickness, absenteeism. We learnt last class that people are not coming to work citing so and so reasons. There is a direct medical cost, there is a retraining and turnover. Means you are retraining the person again and again because their efficiency is low to do some certain work, and the turnover is high. Why? Because the people are not staying in the same job for a long time and new people are coming in every few years. So that is the turnover. So there is a high cost of failure. The cost is increasing behind training and retraining and hiring the manpower and covering for their lost work days. And the goal of the ergonomical design is to increase efficiency, reduce the compensation claims and increase the system reliability. Okay. So how to fit the system to the worker? An example is some gentleman named Frederick Taylor. What he did, he tripled the coal shoveling output simply by optimizing the weight and size of the shovel. And there are many other things. There are many work things that you will find that usually laying bricks in an order used to take a lot of time. But since they discovered that, okay, laying the bricks in such and such fashion, maybe in a very symmetrical way, or maybe one over the top of the other, this reduces time. So you train the workers in that fashion so that there is increased efficiency, less time, and the workers are not that much tired out. So it is like that. You design such and such things so that the hazards can be minimized and the workers' health are. So there are three domains to ergonomics. That is physical, cognitive and organizational. Physical means the body responses to any change in the environment. That is how to handle your posture of sitting or standing or doing any work, how to handle the materials, and what are the repetitive movements or the load of movement that you are undergoing. That is, any number of things can be repeated. If someone is picking up a heavy load every day, okay, like someone, jara workers, ঠিক আছে, there are regular wage laborers, okay, they are carrying lots of heavy burden on their back, on their wrist, they are taking up the heavy burden on their backs, their wrists may be getting affected by repetitive movements every day. So that can have a long term effect on their health. Just instead of picking up from the ground, if they can take it from a a little bit higher level, those burdens, then that can have a little bit less effect on maybe their wrists, okay, maybe their lower backs. So making those certain changes are depending on what kind of movements the person are doing. Then there is a cognitive domain, that is mental processing and memory. In any work that requires the mental capacity. So mental workload, decision making, human computer interaction. So this is basically affecting the service sector, service industry, like whoever is sitting on the laptop and doing like 10 hours, 12 hours work a day. So that is like a huge epidemic that is causing musculoskeletal disorders in today's population. People are coming, I have neck pain, I have back pain, I am not seeing through the eye, I am not seeing properly through the eye, my wrists are paining, okay. So those people are coming with these complaints. So because they are having this both physical and cognitive domain problems. So there is also a kind of mental workload, mental pressure, okay, human computer interaction, there is a problem with the vision as well. And finally the organizational domain, that is, it depends on the communication, teamwork and the work design that the person is working in. So all these domains interaction, and if you are tailoring this properly, you can create good ergonomics for the workplace. One example of that physical domain is dynamic versus static work. That is, what is dynamic work? Muscle acts as the pump, alternating tension and relaxation promotes circulation, delivering nutrients and flushing waste. So the more you are moving frequently, the more your muscles are acting properly, okay, and you are not stagnant, it improves circulation, it delivers nutrients, it removes waste efficiently. But if you are having a static work, it is a little bit harmful. Why? Because prolonged contraction, holding or bending, internal pressure rises, it compresses the vessels, blood flow stops and waste accumulates. It leads to fatigue, pain and tissue deterioration. Okay. So this is one example of a physical domain problem that can happen. Again, another thing is micro trauma. Another example of any injury relating to the hazards, that is a micro trauma called cumulative trauma disorder, CTDs. Okay, what happens is there is a repetition of movement, as I said, there is a force, a high force of workload, okay, or picking up something very heavy, awkward posture, and there is no rest in between. It leads to microtrauma over prolonged period of time, not just one time exposure. If you are doing it repetitively over days, weeks, months or years, it can lead to this CTDs, cumulative trauma disorders. The trauma is accumulating and finally causing a disorder like tendinitis, tenosynovitis, then carpal tunnel syndrome, where the nerve is impinged by repetitive movement. That is why. But the danger is these disorders are not arising from a single incident and they develop gradually over months or years, making early detection difficult. Like maybe a person has come to the emergency that my wrist is not moving, my wrist is very painful. They will tell that today I just took up the sack from the ground, suddenly it pained. Or maybe I bent a little bit and suddenly my lower back pain ached a lot. I am not able to move after that. But it is not because they did it that time only. It happened because they have been doing it for long periods of time. Suddenly one day it accumulated and caused pain. Okay, so early detection of this microtrauma is very difficult in these cases. So these are all like grouped into the musculoskeletal disorders. These are very important disorder that occurs in the occupational industry. Then what to do? how to combat the static posture and the microtrauma, how to mitigate this? You have to fix certain things. You have to take micro breaks, that is frequent rest. Okay? You have to stretch to reduce the stiffness. You have to sit and stand. You vary posture. You sometimes sit and sometimes stand. Do not sit for 10 hours or stand for 10 hours. So you have to make the dynamic work instead of static work. And there are some office ergonomics on how to reduce the musculoskeletal disorders in people. The eyes should be level at the top of the monitor. Okay, you should not be looking down at the monitor or should not be looking up at the monitor. Your monitor should be placed at your eye level, the top of the monitor. Elbows at 90-degree angle, keyboard at elbow height, back should be fully supported, wrists are straight neutral line and feet should be flat on the floor or footrest. Knees should be cleared under the desk. Back fully supported, lumbar support engaged. So, anytime you do a computer or a laptop, it is best to do it in a sitting posture and a chair table. And all these points should be maintained. Okay, because if you continue it like if you sit on the bed or sit on the floor and looking down at the computer for hours and hours that you do, or you will know many professionals who are doing this, they will sooner or later have this neck pain, at least the neck pain and the because there is a little distance is not better, so that can be a problem in the eye as well. So this is the ergonomics of the workplace, office ergonomics or the service sector ergonomics, that these all should be maintained so that the disorders can be prevented. So ergonomics means basically fitting the job to the human by design, by engineering, by modifying the surroundings, not inside the human but outside the human. You modify things so that the disorders are prevented. Okay, understood what does ergonomics mean? It is like 2 or 3 paragraphs in your book and I have tried to explain it, but this is the basics of ergonomics and these principles are taken while prevention of the occupational hazards, as you will see. Now, occupational health and legislation, that is how to prevent, this is basically now how to prevent occupational disorders. There are 3 main headings: engineering measures, medical measures and legislation. Engineering measures, medical measures and legislation. So what are the engineering measures? You have to modify the surrounding, like eliminate the hazards, control exposure, redesign the work processes, ergonomics, modification. This is coming under engineering. What are the medical measures? You do the health surveillance or health checkup of the workers, okay, diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation and wellness promotion, providing medical benefits. That is the medical measures. And legislative measures means the acts, the regulations that are in place so that the health of the worker and the health of the industry is not compromised. So these are the 3 main approaches towards maintaining occupational health. What are the medical defenses? First point is the pre-placement examination. Pre-placement examination. Pre-placement examination means before you take the worker in the industry, you do a medical fitness checkup, right? So that is a pre-placement examination. The applicants are having history, chest x-ray, ECG, vision and declare whether the workers are fit or not. That is important in case of any job nowadays. You have to give a fitness certificate. Then you can exclude some people who are having these diseases from these industries. That is, if there is a lead industry where there is an risk of exposure to lead, then you have to reject the applicants with nephritis or chronic kidney disease, peptic ulcer, anemia, hypertension. Then if there is a hazard with dyes, you have to eliminate those who are having asthma or skin lesions or kidney disease, bladder disease. Silica, there is a TB and chronic lung disease, you have to eliminate or reject those applicants, okay, and etc. So all these measures are there and you have to, as a doctor, you have to see whether the person is fit for the industry or not. Then After the pre-placement examination, you do the periodical examination. That is, periodically you keep checking, maybe 6 monthly or annually you keep the checking the workers whether they are okay or not. So annual is the standard in most of the industries, and in high risk industries like lead, radium, dyes, you do a monthly checkup. Okay, and finally you do the record analysis and supervision. You supervise and analyze the records and see whether the medical hazards or health hazards are occurring in the industry or not. Do the continuous medical surveillance. So again there is surveillance here, that is you collect the data, you see what are the problems, you then analyze the data and take a action after informing the authorities. Then again you see whether that action has improved the health or not, and you again collect the data and so on and so forth. So that is the continuous medical surveillance. So this is the frequency of inspection for certain things, like for daily for irritants and severe chemicals, monthly for high toxicity exposures, annually is the standard protocol. Then comes the, after the medical measures come the engineering measures. Okay. So prevention commences at the architectural stage design. Post construction alterations are difficult and expensive. That is a place where the workers are there. You have to design previously and not after. So the worker should have a minimum 500 cubic feet space. Okay, there should be a proper illumination, ventilation, flooring and drainage, height, etc. Then you should account for the local exhaust. That is, the if a person is working in a place where it is always very smoky, dust is there, there should be provision of a local exhaust. Then there are wet methods. That is, when drilling there is plumes and dust, right, while drilling. So wet drills are there. That is, water spraying is done continuously while drilling so that the dust is not spread much. So that wet drilling can be done. So these are all engineering measures that can be there to prevent the health hazards. Excuse me a minute. Local exhaust and wet methods. Then isolation and enclosure. That is, if a worker is working in very high hazard or very high risk area, workers can be working in isolation or they can be quarantined. Okay, or they might be enclosed. There is substitution, replace harmful chemicals with harmless chemicals. Then you can do the local exhaust ventilation. That is, someone is working in some place where there is emanation of smoke. You put a local exhaust there so that the dust is like a kitchen chimney, right? Like a kitchen, okay, chimney. So that is there. Then there is the wearing of the personal protective equipment or PPE to protect the workers from certain hazards. So you can use a gas mask, the earmuffs, safety shoes, goggles and other creams. And finally there is the intelligence layer or the measures of monitoring and research. So there is the environmental monitoring, that is ensuring environmental assays, okay, whether the toxic gas, how much toxic gas are there or not. Then there is the statistical monitoring or analyzer, that is review of health and exposure data at regular intervals. You are reviewing the health data, the exposure levels, and matching the two and seeing whether the risk is increasing or not. And finally conducting research, that is pure research versus applied research in toxicology, vocational psychology, industrial fatigue, etc. So you can also conduct some survey, that is, in their terms they are mainly surveys among the workers, seeing what problems are they facing, whether any risk factors are present or not. So you keep this continuous intelligence cycle or monitoring and research and maintain the health of the workers. So this is the engineering part. Now the legislation. There are two main legislations here, the Factories Act and the ESI Act. Okay, the Factories Act and the ESI Act. Factories Act is what? It is applicable to factories with 10 plus workers with power or 20 plus workers without power, and includes contract labor excludes mine, railways and mobile units. There should be safety officers there. According to the act, there should be safety officers there, at least with 1000 plus workers. Welfare officers should be there for 500 plus workers. And there should be site appraisal committees. That is, your site is being audited, monitored regularly. And what is the workers' welfare? The workers can work maximum 48 hours per week, maximum 9 hours per day. So this is the rule. Canteens are required for 250 plus workers, creches required for 30 plus women in the industry. 30 plus means if there are more than 30 women in the industry, then a creche should be there for keeping the child and maintaining the child whole day, so that the woman there can work. And first aid should be there, like washing, sitting and drying facilities. So this is according to the Factories Act. There is a Child Labour Prohibition Act, that is no child below age 14 shall work under labor and other industries. And then the adolescent labor 15 to 18 years is, it requires fitness certificate. Okay, fitness certificate from certifying surgeons, and they can only work half the time than adults, that is 4.5 hours per day, and no night shifts as well. Basically, they can work from 6 am to 7 pm, between 6 am to 7 pm, but not between 7 pm to 6 am. So, no night shift for adolescents, and in some cases women also, no night shifts are there. Then again another act is the ESI Act. What is ESI? What is ESI? Employee State Insurance Act. So ESI Act, basically it provides with financial benefits. This act provides the workers with financial benefits on top of the Factories Act laws. Okay. So where does the money come from? Who contributes the money? So that this is given under the ESI Act. The employer contribution is 3.25 of the wage bill, and employee contribution is 0.75% of the wages. So the employer is providing 3.25% of the total wage bill, okay, the wages that are given, and 0.75% of the wages of the worker are taken and kept in this ESI under the ESI Act. And employees earning daily wages below 176 rupees are exempt from this deduction from their income. Okay. And where does it cover? It applies to power using factories, shops, hotels, cinemas, transport. What is the wage ceiling? It covers the employees earning up to rupees 21,000 per month. And administration is, what is the body or organization that is overseeing this act? That is autonomous body ESI Corporation under Ministry of Labour. So that is why under ESI Corporation there are the ESI hospitals all across India. Okay. Now what are the 7 pillars of ESI benefit? That is what was financial benefits we are talking about. So how are these benefits given? In the form of these 7 things, that is medical benefit, sickness benefit, maternity benefit, disablement benefit, dependence benefit, funeral expenses and rehabilitation. So in all these types of benefits the ESI Act is there. So the medical benefit is full medical care for worker and family. It includes hospitalization, drugs, specialist services, and where is it provided? At ESI hospitals, dispensaries, or sometimes in some private panel systems, mean those private hospitals who are empaneled with the ESI Corporation. Those who are listed in the ESI Corporation, they also have a list of these private hospitals. In those hospitals, they can get this ESI benefit, medical benefit. And then there is a sickness benefit. So what is sickness benefit then? Periodic cash payment for sickness certified by insurance medical officer. Medical benefit is when the person is obtaining the free medical benefit from the hospital itself. But sickness is if the person wants to take a leave of absence due to sickness. So there is a cash payment of sickness, and duration, how long can that sickness benefit be taken? From 91 days maximum in any 1 year time period. Any maximum 91 days in a 1 year time period. Up till that day, you can take the sickness benefit, that is you are getting paid even if you are not working and you are sick. Okay. Rate is 70% of average daily wages. So during that period of sickness, you will get 70% of the daily wage that you are provided when you are healthy. And extended sickness is for some cases, from some specialized cases, that is for long term chronic diseases like TB, cancer, leprosy, etc. Duration is up to 2 years and list covers 34 specific diseases. So sickness benefits, you get 70% of the wages for maximum 91 days. For extended sickness benefit, you get 80% of the wages, that is for 2 years for 34 diseases. And for the temporary disablement benefit is there also, where you get 90% of the wages during the duration of disability. Okay, maybe your leg is injured for some reason. Before you are rehabilitated to continue the work, or a spinal injury is there, before you are rehabilitated to continue your work, you are a temporary disabled person. So during that time you will get 90% of the wages. Okay. And in case of permanent disablement, what happens is life pension based on loss earning capacity determined by the medical board. In case of tubectomy or vasectomy, enhanced sickness benefit, that is you get full wages for sterilization for 7 days for vasectomy, 14 days for tubectomy. Okay. Then there is a maternity benefit. You get paid full cash for 26 weeks maternity benefit under ESI Act, including 8 weeks of pre-confinement. Rate is full wages and extended for 1 month for pregnancy related sickness. And for miscarriage, in case of miscarriage, you get 6 months of the maternity leave, 6 weeks of maternity leave. Then the disability benefit, that is temporary disablement is 90% of the wages as I said, and permanent disablement is life pension. Then there is a dependence benefit, that is pension for someone has died. So for the dependents, what do they get? Pension for the widow or children if death occurs due to employment injury. Okay. And 90% of the wages distributed in fixed ratio. So 90% of the wages is given as pension to the dependent family if the person who was working there dies. And what are the others? That is funeral expenses are given up to 15,000 rupees and rehabilitation allowance, that is monthly payment for vocational training. So during the rehabilitation period also they are given the wages. So if a worker is empaneled under the ESI Act receiving the ESI benefit, they can get all these benefits from the medical benefit, sickness benefit, maternity benefit, etc. There are some special provisions like COVID-19 relief scheme, unemployment allowance and family planning allowances. What is the COVID-19 relief scheme? There is dedicated hospital, 21 ESI Act, their hospitals run directly, 26 run by state governments converted to COVID facilities. Treatment is free for insured persons and family members, and benefit in case of employment loss due to pandemic, specific unemployment provisions apply. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, all these measures were there so that the people who were affected by the pandemic can have like low effect on their health costs. Then there is the unemployment allowance, Rajiv Gandhi Shramik Kalyan Yojana, where the eligibility is unemployment due to retrenchment or factory closure. If factory closes, you lose your job. So what about them then? So benefit is 50% of wages have to be given for up to 2 years and medical care continues for self and family during this period. And the family planning, enhanced cash benefit, double standard rate, 100% for sterilization operations, again duration 7 days male and 14 days female for vasectomy and tubectomy respectively. So regarding all these things, so we have covered the medical prevention, the engineering measures and the legislative measures. Okay. Now what are the institutions in all over India who oversees all this? There is the most important, the NIOH, National Institute of Occupational Health, in under ICMR. It is one of the ICMR institutes. Then there is a Central Labour Institute, okay, Museum of Industrial Health Hygiene Lab. There is a NEERI, you may have heard of this, National Environment Engineering Research Institute, mainly concerning the environmental factors. The ITRC, Industrial Toxicology Research Center or Chemical Safety Toxicology, and then there are some regional institutes as well, like Regional Labour Institutes. So all these have a role in what? Conducting the surveys, that is the occupational hazard survey that are going on in the country, okay, training the inspectors, the safety inspector, welfare inspectors, and advising the government on policy regarding occupational health. Okay, so these institutes are there in India. And this is again the same thing, just this is maybe the future outlook or national infrastructure from these institutes. That is, these central labour institutes in Mumbai and regional institutes in Kolkata, Kanpur and Chennai, okay, they are then overseen by the tech arm and the research arm, that is National Institute of Occupational Health, and they are overseen by the, which ministry does it fall under? It falls under the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Okay, so this is a ministry which all this occupational health falls under. And the training, safety museum, industrial hygiene labs are all in these levels, and the ministry oversees all the operations. Okay, the training, the surveys, etc. So it is, evolution is from the legislative compliance to participative ergonomics. So you have to participate from the ground up level so that the workers' health and the industrial health can be maintained instead of the top down order, that is orders just from the ministry, because not everything will be applicable everywhere, right. So that is how this framework or the infrastructure is there and where it tends to go.